As we begin to look at commentaries and ways to use different resources in Logos, it's important to have a workflow in place to tag information so that we can quickly find it. The highlighting tool in Logos provides us with a way to tag our information quickly with hotkeys and different palettes. Today we will learn about the highlighting tool, create a custom palette, and learn to search for highlighted information. Let's start by opening the highlighting tool. Go to Tools, and then select Highlighting under the library. The highlighting tab appears. So in the highlighting tab, you'll see over here, these are called palettes. There's a lot of these are ones that you'll be given. I have a bunch of them that I've made already. Down here at the bottom, I have one called Textual Criticism Markups. And I wanted to just quickly show you that one, and then I'll teach you how to create your own. So I've made this palette, and I use it when I want to make a notation in my ESV Bible of where a textual critical note is from the net, so that I don't have to always hover over the footnotes in the net Bible to figure out where the different textual criticisms are. And so the most recent place I did this was in Philemon. And so if I go into Philemon, and then just like notes, you can turn on or off highlighting. If I click on visual filters, I have under notes and highlights, I have textual criticism marks. If I click on that, now I have a little red TC over the word beloved. I've got it over us. I've got it over a bunch of words, and that came just from a simple textual criticism marks. To show you how this happen, or how you can do this so quickly. So I've got the words have been refreshed here. If this had a note, I could quickly put one there by I have a hotkey X. I'll show you how to do this. If I click X on my keyboard, now there's a note there. And I'm going to turn that off for now. But one of the cool things about highlighting, where earlier when we looked at notes, they go across your different Bibles. If I go into my New American Standard and I go to Philemon, the first one occurs under the word beloved. It is not there in the NASB, and if I can show you, I don't have it off, it's just not there. Unlike the notes, which are metadata tagged, the highlighting is tagged by the resource. So now I want to show you how to create your own palette for highlighting. To do that, we're going to click on New Palette. And almost every time I do this, I accidentally click on 2. And so I'm going to delete the second. To do that, if you hover, you can click Delete. You also, while we're looking at that, you can rename things later. You can duplicate them as well. So if you like a palette but you want to change it for something else, or you want to use it for a different resource, you're able to do that if there's a reason you need to do that. So I'm going to call this palette. I've been researching the Sermon on the Mount, and just a couple things in it, but I want to call it Sermon on the Mount, Big Idea. And I hit Enter. And now I have my own new palette. If I hover over it with my mouse, I can I want to add a new style. And so to do that, I click on that, and then I can click Add a New Style. Now this takes me to a new menu of the highlighting tab. I can get out of it by pushing back, but if I do that, I'll lose what I'm about to make here, which is a new style inside the highlighter. So I'd like to make a new style, and I want to call it Big Picture. And so I type that in, so now it has a name, and now I can choose what I want this highlight to look like. So let's say I want it to just be bold. Click on bold, or you can do, the italics isn't working there. I don't know if that's an error. I can change the color to whatever I want it to be. I can change the font. I can make it way smaller. I can make it way bigger. I can do all of these different formatting things. I can do more traditional highlighting. I can make it a solid color. I can also do a natural highlighter. Again, you can change the color. You kind of have all kinds of different options with this. With text effects, I can make the text glow. I can make it an outline. I can give it a shadow. I can give it borders. This one I think is actually a little more handy. You can make a little box. You can make a double box, or you can change how those look. I think those are a little less obtrusive sometimes than some of the other options. You can also change the colors of your box. You can add your own image, like a little clip art image. If you want to do that, go for it. I'm not going to show that. You can also insert text. So I can add big picture if I wanted to, and I can make it really small or do something to make it kind of stand out. You can put in a little capsule so it always shows up there. That's how I did a text above to make my little TC note. You can also do labels. For now, I'm just going to do a natural highlighter. Like, a lot of these are fine, but they're kind of over the top. I'm going to do a blue, and I'm going to use one of the lighter blues. That way it doesn't overpower the text so I can read it. So now I've got my natural highlighter, big picture, and I'm going to hit save. So when I do that, I now have a style. And I'll show you, I've got one called Samuel King's Speech, where I've got all these different kings and prophets and characters from Samuel, and they all have a different style. You can have as many styles as you want. As long as you're working in one highlighting palette, it's pretty easy to do. I'd encourage you to not use highlighting from here with highlighting from a different one. Just keep them all in one palette. That way it's easy to hide it when you're not using it. But so I've got this big picture, and now I'm going to do a shortcut. So you saw how I did that. I went into the menu, shortcut key, and then I'm going to make it B. So anytime I highlight something and push B on my keyboard, unless I'm in a text window, it's going to highlight it. So that works for, say, I'm going to go back to Matthew, because that's where we're talking about. Let's say I notice major blocks of his teaching, including the Sermon on the Mount, and I want to just highlight that. I don't know why, but if I wanted to, I just push B, and now it's highlighted. And now I can search for it. Now I want to show you this in commentaries. I think that the highlighting at this level is a little less useful in the actual Bible and a little more useful in commentaries. So I'm going to open the NAC commentary, and I'm going to choose Matthew. So if I type in open space NAC space Matthew, I can open the NAC commentary on Matthew. Now, I know I did some prep work for this, but I know that when I get to Matthew 6, there's a note here. The theme of this entire sermon, that greater righteousness demanded of Jesus' disciples, clearly continues. So the NAC author here, the greater righteousness, has made a claim on what the theme of the entire sermon is. And so let's say, whether I agree with it or don't agree with it, I want to make a note of it. I push B, and that's there. And so as I scroll down, let's say I find something else that makes me think, well, maybe it's more about this. Maybe it's something else. So I would pick it. I'd pick a sentence or a section I'd want, and I'd highlight it. And you can go through the commentaries. You can highlight different things. Let's say I was looking for big picture, but I was also looking for instances of prayer. I could make a separate highlighter that's more focused on prayer. But once I do all these highlights, if I want to quickly find them, what I can do is I can click on the inline search. It's a little magnifying glass up top, and I already had it open. But when you click on it, you get a new text bar, and you can search, and there's a drop-down menu, and you can do different search fields. And you'll see I have my Sermon on the Mount Big Idea. That palette I created is here. and I can search big picture. Now, if I had more styles, I could actually choose one or more styles to show up at the same time. And so you'll see as you're working in it, you'll see times where that's very useful because you can say, well, I want to look at all the big picture stuff. But once I do that, if I click off and hit enter, I might not be, nope, I'm not synced yet. If I just type in the letter E, maybe, nope. Having internet problems right now. But if I do that, it should get me to where I can see my different searches side by side. There we go. So now I can see where I've got the two different highlighters going here. So with this, obviously you need to be more intentional than I was in just showing you a quick demo, but you can start to use these hotkeys, and you can use these highlighters to start to mark out your text and your commentaries. And as you're learning about the different types of commentaries and the different statements and truth claims in commentaries, you can actually start to make notations on, I think this guy is more focused on, he's got more of an existential bent, or he's more focused on application. You can start to see those things, and you can start to make notes on them. And then maybe while you're working early on, you don't want that application side, but later on you want it, and so you highlight it so that you can quickly find it later on. Again, highlighting, just like the notes tool, it's one that you could never touch it in Logos, and you could still do a lot in Logos, but in the long term, the more you use the tool, the more you're going to be benefited by it, and the more you come up with your own highlighting rules and your own processes that you follow, the more enriched you'll be by the tool.